Hey kids, happy Labor Day. Hope you're not laboring too hard today. You know who else isn't laboring today? Deb. She has thrown down the gauntlet. She says, workers of the world, unite. And she refuses to do the podcast, which normally would come out in a couple days. But the joke's on her. Just a couple short weeks ago, I was interviewing somebody near and dear to her heart, one technical Sergeant Dakota Long. And I had Dakota in the studio, and I got to interview my son. How often do you get to do that? So this is a very special episode of the Long in the Boot podcast. It would normally go out on Wednesday, but it's coming out today. Enjoy the podcast. See you in a couple weeks. Greetings. Hello, friends. This is the Long in the Boot podcast, the podcast coming to you from the heel of the boot of Southwest Louisiana. I am your host, G. Long. Deb is off playing with her grandkids right now, but that's okay. We're going to replace her with someone near and dear to her heart, my son, Dakota, who is technical Sergeant Dakota Long, and he is in the studio today. Hello, Dakota.
How's it going?
Well, it was going pretty good. We were already recording, I thought, and once again, I had a button issue, so we're gonna try again. And you know what? It'll probably be better. You know how it is. Sometimes leftovers taste better than when they're freshly made, right?
Only for gumbo, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, you do what you can. Hey, if you want to get a hold of the Long in the Boot podcast, longintheboot@gmail.com. The phone number 337-502-9011, and the website where you can message me on Facebook, technically, but it's longintheboot.com. Just that. That's it. That's simple. It doesn't get simpler than that, I don't think. So how you doing?
I'm here.
Been visiting, brought the grandkids down since Deb was a little bit out of sorts medical-wise, couldn't do a lot of traveling by car. So the good son packed up those kids, threw them in the trunk, brought them on down, where we immediately ungagged them and, freshened them up a little bit.
Yeah, car seats are too expensive to buy two of them.
Man, aren't they though? And they're complicated now.
Yeah,
they're crazy. It's like
the trunk was way easier.
What's weird is I noticed the other day that they said it was a car wreck. We'll get to code in, man. We're just yapping. There was a car wreck with a race car driver, and they said that I forget what they call his halo, as they called it, saved him. And I'm like, what the heck's a halo? Well, it's a chair, right? That's in a race car. They're designed specifically for race cars. It looked like a car seat for an adult.
It's a baby seat, yeah.
It is. It's a baby seat for an adult. And I was like, well, yeah, there you go. So I guess we all need car seats in our cars. And then I guess, wrecks would be more survivable? Maybe?
People didn't drive the way they drive.
That's true. Well, unlike myself, I drive perfect. You?
Well, I mean, you were my driving instructor, so.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I drive like you.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I believe it was myself, Brandon Musgrove, and Candy Dowden.
Oh.
We're the three of us in the car with you.
The three amigos in the car?
Yeah.
And, I did driver's ed for a good long time. And only almost got killed like 3 times. So that's pretty good for the number of years I did it. Because I saw a story the other day. Somebody actually was a driving instructor, got killed in a car wreck because, their student attempted to correct a lane change and overcorrected, and that was that. Rollover.
So you're saying they didn't get their license?
That's what I was wondering. I actually had that question. Like, if you
like, do they pass you?
Yeah, no. If you get your driving instructor killed, is it what happens? Do you fail?
C-?
Yeah, a C-. Maybe that's the problem on the roads is we don't have a real good bar. We keep it really low
for passing.
Yeah, like
I think it's because it's such a necessity in our life.
You got to do it. I mean, you can't get away from it. So anyway, I got my son down here, and I thought, hey, why not put a podcast in the can? That's what I say. And so since he's going to leave me soon, I thought, well, better late than never. And hey, the button is now pushed. So
yeah, we're still recording.
Yeah. So we got if you see that red light go off, please say something.
That's how I'm looking.
So you are, as I said, a technical Sergeant Long. And what do you do? What do you do for the Air Force?
So I'm a pavement specialist and a heavy equipment operator.
There you go. And so maintenance of roads, runways.
Yeah. So the pavement specialist is primarily the airfield. That's, the one reason typically we're at an installation is to maintain the airfield. And then the base roads, parking lots, taxiways on the airfield.
You guys do all kinds of other weird stuff, though, right?
Yeah,
like recently, you went to Alaska. What were you guys doing in Alaska?
So we were attached to the range maintenance squadron. So all the ranges that the aircraft use for targeting, things like that.
Oh, okay.
We were down there maintaining some of them.
Well, what needs to be done?
So, for us, or
because they're blowing this stuff up, right?
Essentially. So our purpose there was to go basically across the ice bridge that we were having to build to get to an off-site location to refill the gravel pits that the targets are in, construct some wooden targets out of plywood, like 3/4 scale model of planes of, other countries that I can't name.
Yeah.
And
the ones that don't like us.
There's so many to pick from.
Yeah, I know. It's a wide open variety.
But essentially, yeah, it's just range maintenance.
There's nothing here. What is this? Oh, that's the Air Force for Andorra. It's just a space. There's nothing there. But that was Alaska, and they sent you in the very best time of year to go to Alaska, right?
Well, the only time we could effectively build an ice bridge.
It needs to be cold enough to build it.
Yeah.
You guys were actually pretty close to the line on that too, weren't you?
Yeah, we were. So essentially what has to happen for the ice bridge is there's a mile stretch over the Delta River that we have basically had to take the dozers across, put the rippers down that would, tear up the ground, tear up the ice, crush it up, and then flood it to let it refreeze controlled.
Yeah.
So that we can actually build like a load-bearing surface.
That's pretty common up there, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a lot more rivers in Alaska than I thought, actually. When I looked at the map, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah. So we were about, from Fairbanks, we were about 90 miles east in Delta Junction was the town, but it's a little nothing town just outside of Fort Greely.
Yeah. Are the people like real open and welcoming, or are they like the weather?
Their gum lines are real opening from the meth.
Oh, no. Really?
Yeah.
Really? The meth problem in Alaska?
Yeah.
That's strange. You would think that the one place you could go where, like, I don't know, drugs wouldn't be a huge problem would be a place far, far away.
I think that's probably why the drugs are such.
Oh, maybe they're bored.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Like North Dakota has problems. So that's a shame.
But the area, I can't say enough about Alaska. It was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Even in the dead winter, it was, it was beautiful.
And just
sunrise over mountains,
big skies,
Kastner Glacier that we got.
And you guys, I guess you probably got to see the Aurora Borealis.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty slick, huh?
And the mooses, the meese.
They're huge.
They're gigantic.
You never get an appreciation for them until you see it in scale next to something else, like a human,
like next to you.
Yeah, and then they're like, "Whoa!"
You're in the truck, and it has to hunch down to look through the window. You're just like, "Oh God!"
It's a prehistoric beast.
Yeah.
I wonder, really, what purpose? I like the idea of a moose. I just don't want to have to deal with a moose.
Yeah.
Especially if they were angry. I think that would probably be really bad.
Well, so the first hotel we stayed at down there, they warned us when we checked in. They're like, "Hey, there's a mama moose, that goes around the parking lot that has a sick young, and so just be careful."
Oh, really? There was a moose warning?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, cool. So anyway, when you went in, we were talking earlier, when you went in the Air Force, and of course I know some of this, but not everybody knows. So, here you go. But you decided to go in the Air Force, and originally you wanted to go into search and rescue, right?
Yeah, essentially.
And isn't that what it is? I guess
more or less. And they're also the ones that train the pilots to kind of survive on the off chance they get shot down or they crash.
Yeah.
In less than friendly nations.
We wouldn't need to do that. We just gave every pilot a cyanide capsule and said, "Hey, you get shot down. There you go." It's a lot of training down the tubes, though, I guess.
Yeah.
So that'd probably be.
It's a little way cheaper, though.
It certainly would be cheaper and less intensive. And so they sent you. So you went to Lackland.
Yep.
And I remember going to watch you graduate from the Air Force. And when we left that day, we thought, well, he'll be going off into the SEER training. And then the next day you called us and told us, nope, actually we found out you were on a medical hold that day.
Yeah.
And the reason, again, what was the reason?
From the skull fracture from when I was 11.
11 years old, a skull fracture. And then they decided to put you on a hold.
So I don't remember if I ever told you guys, but the information I got once that was all like fixed and corrected was that the information the doctor received on why I was held is because their record said that I lost consciousness while I was in basic, which never happened.
Really?
Yeah.
So that wasn't even true. So the thing that actually got you put on profile was just a blatant
Made
falsehood.
Up. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you suppose maybe that secretly they needed somebody to go into your field?
No. I mean,
it's just like, pick him.
Yeah, no.
And so they gave you, I always thought it was interesting because I've been in class where I've had instructors or recruiters come and tell the kids stuff, and they all recruiters, oh, you're going to get your choice. Blah, 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 blah. And so after they said you weren't going to the SEER training, you of course got your second choice, right?
Well, so
no.
So basically, they sat us all in a room, gave us our forms that we had to fill out for like reassignment, basically to a new Air Force Specialty Code, AFSC job, basically.
Yeah.
MOS for the Army folk. They sat us in a room and said, all right, here's the list of AFSCs. Put 5 of them down. And we put 5 of them down.
Yeah, because I think wasn't your second one like crypto linguistics or something like that?
Yeah, because I had taken the test before when I went to MEPS.
Yeah.
To start this whole journey. So I laid everything out and I got all of 0 of those.
So none of the ones you picked,
essentially.
So yeah. So if you're thinking of joining, just understand that it's what's the saying? Needs of the Air Force.
Needs of the Air Force. Yeah.
And apparently they needed somebody to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
And they sent you to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Yeah. So for the Army folks would probably know it as Fort Lost in the Woods, Missouri. That's what they call it. And
a lot of Army guys go through there, right, for all kinds of stuff.
Well, so it's like Lackland for us. They go to basic there. MPs go to school there.
Oh, wow. Well, MPs used to go. I know in the Army, the MPs used to go to Fort McClellan, Alabama. That's where it was, but they closed that base down. And it's still there. It's just not being used for anything. Big base, but what are you going to do? They don't need it. Yeah, we don't need it. And so Fort Leonard Wood, what's weird with Fort Leonard Wood when you look on the map where it is, it's like they purposely picked a place as far away from everything as possible. It really is in the middle of nowhere.
Well, I think it's perfect for the Army to do like their field exercises. Because
there's so much space. Yeah. And I guess they can simulate European woods and all that stuff, and winter or summer, doesn't matter. Yeah. And what is it, Springfield, closest place?
Well, I mean, right off base is Rolla.
Rolla. Okay. Oh, there's a college in Rolla. One of the universities in Missouri. I forget which one.
Yeah. St. Louis, I want to say, is like an hour away. I think it was.
Oh, so it's even further over than I thought.
Springfield is, I think it ended up being like an hour or 2.
Yeah, you're kind of in the middle at the bottom of the state, right?
Yeah, close to Arkansas.
Yeah, which strangely enough is where you ended up. Go figure. But so you went to basic and started learning your craft, but you don't really. I mean, when you're doing AIT, you don't really know what's going to be
Well, so back then we had to, in order to get licensed for all of our equipment, we actually had to do 40 hours of training on each piece. So initially when we were going through, we spent, 5 8-hour days each week on one piece of equipment.
Oh, okay.
Because that was the requirement. It's not so much anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you get guys now that are actually not
proficient.
Proficient. That's the word I was going to use. Yeah.
Yeah.
That must be a pain. So then you have to do training, basically.
Yeah. So CE, the civil engineer career fields, which covers, utilities, electric, power production, structures.
Yeah.
They, all of us have on the job training, OJT, that we have to get through, basically.
Okay. So they've cut back on the training at the front end, but they have backloaded it for you guys, basically.
Yeah.
Does that work out? Do you think it's better, worse, or doesn't really matter?
There's only so much. It has to be general when you go to Fort Leonard Wood because each base is so different.
Yeah.
With how they operate that you're not going to get good OJT, and then maybe you get good OJT for somewhere like Florida, but then you go up to Washington State and it's completely different.
How they run it and everything.
Yeah.
So it's not just a standard structure that you can bank on.
No.
So your first assignment was Andrews Air Force Base?
Andrews Air Force, yeah. And,
that's really amazing to start out there.
With Air Force One, and yeah.
I mean, that's a heck of a starting off point. Do you think it was a good thing, though, to start there?
Yeah, there was a lot of, I guess, bureaucracy that you're not going to learn as a young airman in a lot of other bases that you get in DC.
Right.
Just by nature, because, so many people are there trying to make their careers.
Yeah. I mean, besides Andrews, there's all kinds of other Army and Air Force bases all around there, right?
Well, Andrews is a joint base. It's a joint base with the Navy.
Oh, they have a presence there as well?
Yeah, they have a large presence.
Oh, okay. Is it close enough to Norfolk to?
No, Norfolk's like, actually, my first deployment was I left out of Norfolk. It's like 2 hours away.
Oh, okay. I couldn't picture it on the map, but so the Navy's got a huge presence in that area. Then,
yeah,
those Navy guys.
I mean, it's a joint base. We're just we're partners there.
Yeah. Plus, I'm sure you got people just dressed in black with no insignia walking around as well.
You get all the presidential support party people with their blue Dickies and the presidential seal on them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You see those guys too?
Everywhere.
And they're in charge, actually, right?
Well, I don't know if you remember where my shop was. It's changed now, but the Air Force One hangar was like right across from it.
Yeah, I remember. You showed it. You pointed it out to me.
Yeah, you could see the massive hangar.
Yeah, it was. It was massive. The base itself, the runway, was split the base right down the middle, it seemed like.
Yeah, so it was to go all the way around Perimeter Road. The perimeter of the base was, it was like 10 miles.
Yeah, it was big.
Yeah.
But it was cool. I enjoyed it. You met your wife. Oh, you met your wife at Lackland, right?
Yep.
And then off to Andrews Air Force Base, and start your career and your family.
Yeah.
At the same time. That's a lot.
It is. Yeah.
You got a steep learning curve in two different fields. Husband, father / airman.
Yeah, but I've said a million times, like at this point, it's been 11 years that I've been married, and it's, if you want to make it work, you'll make it work. If you don't, you won't.
That's true. I think I might have said something along those lines to you at some point too.
There's a good chance.
And it's true. You're going to get, I guess, you're going to get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
And that applies probably to the military as well, I would imagine.
Yeah. They're only going to work for you so much that you work for them. Like,
yeah. Well, it's given you an opportunity, though, educationally speaking, right? Isn't that a big part of it?
Paid for an associate's, paid for my bachelor's. It's almost done paying for my master's. Like,
right. And no student debt from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. So that's one of the big benefits. But how many people have you seen go in and they don't even attempt to like do education, like do school? It's there. It's available.
So there are some requirements, like I want to say to be a senior NCO, a senior non-commissioned officer, which is E7 and up.
Yeah.
You have to have your CCAF, it's Community College of the Air Force degree. It's the associates.
You're right.
Basically, it's your technical associates for your career field. And that's a requirement to make that rank.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, there is some stipulations, like you will become more proficient in your craft before you go on to lead people. But I mean, I think so many people are coming in now that already have degrees because of the market outside the military.
Yeah, just depending on what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they find a career in the military after the fact, like a second career.
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. Yeah. Not a bunch of kids getting like adults coming in.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's probably better in some ways. And it just depends, I guess. Have to learn the military way of doing things.
It's an adjustment. And if you're not, then the one we always hear, and it's kind of funny to hear it, is, an MTI or a drill sergeant better never get in my face or I'll drop him. Like, no, you're not. Just stop.
Stop it. Quit it.
That's not a thing.
While you've been in the Air Force, I know the Air Force had some issues a while back with some folks at Lackland, people in command that were acting inappropriately, shall we say.
Oh, yeah, I met several of them.
Yeah.
It was around the time that I was there.
And but it's changed the training, right? Like, is there a lot more focus on trying to get people not to screw up like that? Like, are you doing a lot more, like, in teaching, call it in-service, but like trainings for different things?
Well, I mean, we always have just annual training that we have to accomplish, like sexual assault prevention.
Sure.
Kind of trying to change the culture of what the military was, because they kind of have a history of, workplace harassment, I would say.
Yeah.
Or just like the expectation of not even harassment, just like a discriminatory type.
Yeah, I got you.
Environment.
They're weeding that out.
They're trying to, and it's not it's not an overnight change.
No, nothing is. But I bet it's much different than it was 30 years ago.
Well, yeah, and even since I've joined, I mean, it's been 12 years now. I joined in 2010. During that time, we've gone through probably about 6 different iterations of sexual assault prevention training.
Yeah.
Like at one time it was sexual assault prevention. Then it became like bystander intervention training, teaching you how to be a bystander, seeing the situation arising in front of you and intervening there.
Step in before it becomes even more severe.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Green dot, which was kind of the iteration of like not just sexual, but also like domestic abuse, seeing that happen in the world around you and preventing it.
Yeah.
Or trying to.
Then, so when you went to Andrews Air Force Base, and as I said, you got married and had a couple youngsters.
Yep.
They're all right. Those kids seem pretty cool.
Yeah. Everyone else tells us that they're great for them.
They're picky eaters.
Yeah. Grayson will try most things. Anna will try nothing.
Hopefully they'll outgrow that, or not. You never know. Oh, well, it'll be their life then.
I did.
Yeah. Well, you ate everything pretty much. There wasn't, but you didn't have a real wide variety of, I mean, you kind of stuck to, if you didn't eat what we were eating, you just made what you wanted to eat.
Yeah.
And peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for, I don't know, 3-4 years when you were little.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get there, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's once they can make their own food, you don't have to press that much more.
Oh, and Anna can make her own mac and cheese. That's it.
Oh, is that her go-to?
That or white pasta.
White pasta?
Like Alfredo sauce.
Oh, okay. White pasta. Yep. White girl pasta. Nice. So you went to Andrews, and we got to come visit, and that was nice. I enjoyed that very much. But you got deployed, twice while you were at Andrews?
No, just once.
Oh, was it just once?
Yeah.
Wait, so you went to Qatar.
2013.
And you went to Korea.
That wasn't a deployment.
Oh, they're 2 different things?
Yeah, Korea was a short tour, so it was 12 months unaccompanied.
Gotcha.
So no wife.
Yeah, I knew that. That didn't used to be the case, Well,
so you can, if you are going to Osan Air Base, there are circumstances where you can bring your spouse.
Right.
Kunsan is not that way.
Oh, is it further north?
South.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
And it's just not set up for families?
Nope.
Okay. Well, that's the way it goes. But you enjoyed Korea, right? And
I did.
We had talked about it earlier, and you said the people were really
The people are extremely friendly.
And that must be nice. I mean, when you get that,
just to be welcoming, and even if they don't speak the same language, obviously, if you get a couple of phrases under your belt, like "naseo" or "kamsamida," they're very welcoming of your attempt at speaking their language. And so,
right,
they are
unlike the French, where if you make an attempt, they'll criticize how you said their.
Germans are like that too.
Do the Germans do that too?
Yeah.
Well,
they hear you speak a little and they expect you to be fluent, and you're just like, that's not the case. So.
Stop it. Speak English.
I was like, I asked you for water. That's it.
I know, right? Still water.
Still's Wasser.
And yeah, go figure. But so of all the places you've gone, you think the Koreans were the most friendly?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Really, by far.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I could see that. I would like to have come to Korea and seen you over there. That was really those pictures you sent back were beautiful.
Yeah, there's a lot to see,
and they seem like they like their nature,
and their soju, their alcohol.
Oh, do they drink?
Yeah, profusely. Cass, which is the beer, and soju.
Soju is the beer.
No, soju is their liquor.
What is it made from? Rice?
Yeah.
Is it just really strong?
I mean, it depends. So the stuff you buy in like a 7-Eleven will be regulated. Some of the other places, not so much.
Oh, where they like to make their own?
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's not regulated. It's a lot stronger.
Some alcohol and some kimchi.
Oh, yeah. It's like the difference of drinking like somebody's homemade vodka versus somebody's homemade moonshine.
Ooh. That sounds like it might be pretty good, though.
It's, soju is really drinkable.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah. It's very easy to drink.
Huh.
But the issue is typically you're somewhere, you're drinking beer, you're drinking soju, you're eating a decent amount of food, usually light food too, like pork and vegetables, essentially.
Spicy.
Yeah. And then you stand up and you're like, oh, what have I done?
Yeah, a little rebellion of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do?
And then you try to navigate your way back to base before curfew.
Help! Yeah. Help! I need a guide. So luckily though, so Korea, you came home. In fact, when you came back from Korea, was that Grayson? Was that when your mom, my wife, your co-host Deb, who is not here, when you came back, was that from Korea or was that from Qatar?
That was from Korea. That was
I can remember. I can never keep them straight.
So that was January of 2016.
And so you got to come home for a very short time.
About 28 days, yeah.
And see a brand new baby.
Yep. Literally
brand new.
Yeah.
Like born the day before you arrived.
Yeah, to try to learn how to be a father of two instead of one.
For 28 days.
Yeah.
And
to go back to Korea for 9 months after that.
Yeah, that was tough. I know your mom talks about she said she wanted to stab. She thought somebody was breaking in.
Yeah, because I was trying to. So basically,
never mind. You guys lived on a base. The odds of somebody actually breaking into the house are pretty slim.
Yeah,
but she's ready. Your mom was ready. She's going to kill whoever's coming through that door.
Well, essentially, so I didn't tell Stephanie when I was coming home because I assumed that I would be there prior to Grayson being born.
Right. So you wanted to be a surprise.
Yeah. So I was trying to make it a surprise, and so I showed up. I showed up December 31st is when I got home of 2015. And so hopped in my car, started driving to Fort Belvoir in Pentagon City. And like as fireworks are popping over the sky,
That was your grandpa's birthday too.
Yep.
And then came in the house and your mom was ready to stab you.
Yeah.
All right. Good fun. That would have been a story.
If I gotten stabbed.
Oh yeah.
I probably wouldn't have had to go back to Korea.
Good point.
Yeah.
Man, that could have gone way better.
Missed opportunities.
I know you missed you miss all the ones you don't swing at.
Miss all the stabs you don't take.
Yeah, that's right. Well, your mom. I can envision that your mom could be stabby. That's one of the reasons I'm very kind to her.
I thought you were going to say you married her. You married her because she's stabby, huh?
Well, I know she'll defend me if she has to. So. That's a plus, and actually your wife's kind of the same way when it comes to the kids. God help anybody who tries to hurt her kids.
Yeah, that's why I bought a shotgun. And
she'll get stabby. She would get stabby.
Yeah. I mean, she could actually use the shotgun.
That good point. Yeah. And, well, it's good to have a wife that will get stabby to protect the kids. I mean, what else is a mom for? Yeah. So you went to, after Andrews, you got to finally leave the country.
Yeah. So that's when I went to Korea. And then after Korea, me and the family packed up and went to Ramstein Air Base, Germany. Which,
for you folks that don't, look at maps, it's southern Germany, basically.
Yeah.
It's pretty close to the French border and Swiss border, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a good location, though, in Germany as far as the Palatinate.
Yeah, it's Rhineland Pfalz is what it's called.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, though. The location is cool for visiting other places.
It is. So as long as those other places aren't like Berlin and Munich, because those are about 4 to 6 hours away.
Yeah, it was weird. You could go to like Amsterdam easier than going to Berlin.
Yeah,
which is really weird until you look at how it's all laid out. But we got to come visit you guys over there, and I tell everybody, unless you've been to Germany, you can't appreciate how clean everything is. Not just bathrooms. We had talked earlier about bathrooms, being clean and gas stations and stuff, but even the air was clean.
Yeah.
You could tell.
I kind of miss how spread out it was. So like you're in one village, you're going through like high country.
Yeah.
For, 20 minutes, and then you're in another village. There's not a people or houses in between.
Yeah. It was like compacted.
Yeah.
At locations.
Compacted but diverse.
Yeah. I noticed that too when we were driving, and no billboards on the highways.
None.
Not a single lawyer hawking his services anywhere on the highway, which was extremely nice. And now I will say there were some once we got into the city, like when we all went to like Belgium.
Yeah.
Then there were billboards.
Brussels.
But they were in town.
Yeah, and the one thing you're not going to get that is everywhere here is you're not going to be driving down the highway for 70 kilometers and see a McDonald's every exit.
No.
That's not going to happen.
No, and even the villages, you can't really see. In a lot of cases, I noticed you couldn't really see them from the highway.
No, and another thing you're not going to really get, and they'll tell you if it's going to be a long time. You'll have signs at rest stops that will tell you like next rest stop is like 90 kilometers away. So if you got to pee, stop it now.
Yeah, and of course my favorite was when we came back when they had that little police checkpoint.
Yeah,
and how the police just step out in front of your car. You're doing like, I don't know, 90 miles an hour. And it's like, just come to a stop. And he just steps in front of the car as you're coming down, knowing full well you will stop. And they were very proficient, very polite.
Yep.
And it really didn't take but a second.
Well, the police presence right there is minimal. Cops are there to not enforce the law. They're kind of there to respond for actual things.
Yeah.
Actual crimes. The speeding laws, and yes, the Autobahn is not a free-for-all. The speeding laws are enforced by camera.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah.
Makes sense. They just installed, for your own edification, they just installed a system on the Chaffalab Basin Bridge.
Oh, I saw that.
18 minutes. If you go faster than 18 minutes, you get in a ticket.
Which, I mean...
I like it.
Yeah.
Good.
Because it works out to be like, 60?
Yeah.
Which is perfectly fine.
That's fine. When we were on the Autobahn driving, I mean, there were a couple cars that went past us like really fast.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're a lot of places on the Autobahn that have speed limits, the speed limits are like 130 kilometers, which I don't remember it's like 85.
Yeah, 85.
Which is pretty fast. Like if you hit something, you're not walking away.
Nobody is. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
So 135 kilometers is perfect, is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And then you have a lot of construction also in in the areas where the distance between towns and villages and cities are shorter. You got a lot of construction. So
you enjoyed Germany though? You would go back, like if they said, hey, you have to go back.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And your family would too, right?
Yeah.
Because I think Stephanie has spoken highly of Germany.
Well, and DC. We wouldn't mind going back to DC.
Really?
Yeah.
That was I would like, yeah. Well, hurry up and do it so we have some place to go.
You can come to Arkansas.
Yeah, there's just something that's not quite the same.
So Germany.
I'd really like it if you could get stationed in England. That would be optimal.
You're right. Japan would be really cool.
No, it's too far. It's too far on a plane. I would go mad.
Yeah, the flight from DC back to Seoul was 19 hours.
Especially when you left 28 days or whatever after a brand new baby. You didn't want to go.
I do a lot of flying, and I don't like flying.
Yeah, I don't care for flying. It's not the flying. I'm not scared of flying.
I hate sitting in one spot.
But I hate sitting. And that was the worst part. And I tell people all the time, I don't like flying. And they think, oh, you're scared of flying? No, I don't care about the actual mechanics of it. It's all the stuff that goes with it.
Yeah.
The flight itself is not the issue.
It's the going through security, taking off my shoes, my belt.
Being locked into one place. I'm a big guy, so it's really hard for me to get up, especially if I'm not in an aisle seat. So my choice is always, and you have the same problem, I'm sure. You either have an interior seat, which means you got to crawl over people to go to the bathroom, or you have an aisle seat, which means every 2 seconds somebody's hitting your arm.
Yeah,
bang,
typically,
bang,
shoulder checking me.
Yeah, and that was I think what they really need to do is have an airline that doesn't allow children. I think that would really help.
I mean, we flew when we flew to Germany. It's about a 7-hour flight. We flew out of Baltimore because that's the what's the word? The port for military. That's the the rotator port.
Yeah.
It's about 7 hours. I can say that Stephanie didn't have as much of an easy time as I did because she had Grayson and we were separated by the aisle.
Oh, wow.
But so I had Anna and she crawled on me and slept on me the entire flight. All 7 hours.
Just crashed out.
Yeah.
That was it.
We didn't drug him either.
Well, although in the future.
Well, I mean, Benadryl's our best friend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When they get older, you just pop them a Valium.
Yeah.
Or make them, you know what?
Half.
Shot of whiskey. There you go. That'll do it.
Soak their socks in it.
A little scissor. So now you're in Arkansas. What's your goal, or what do you want to get out of the Air Force at this point?
Well, you skipped over an entire tour.
Oh, I guess I did. Yeah.
After Germany. So I left Germany in the middle of COVID. It was 2020, which was a chore by itself.
Well, and I guess we should point out too that the whole time this was happening, when Germany was you were leaving Germany, your family had to come back here, and the big plan was that your wife and kids would come live here.
Yeah.
And so all your stuff was shipped here. No problem.
Yeah, why would it be?
No problem at all. And then this evil bitch named Laura showed up.
Yeah. That
really threw a monkey wrench into everything.
Yeah.
And you had stress anyway. Where were you headed?
So I went to, after Germany, I went to Turkey for another unaccompanied short tour, another 12 months.
Yeah, that one sucked. I mean, not that you went, but just it was hard, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I mean, again, 12 years in the Air Force, I got to travel a lot of places.
I should point out too, you're Stephanie, your wife, she has experience with the military life anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, she's a military brat, and she was medically discharged from the Air Force, but she's got some familiarity with it. Her father was in. Right,
so it's not like completely unexpected that you would get shipped somewhere.
I don't think anybody really prepares though for your significant other being 12 months away,
right? Because you guys thought you'd leave Ramstein and come back to the United States, right?
Yeah.
They had other plans for you.
I will say though, that Turkey, again, just like all my other experiences traveling, like Turkey was very anytime like a new culture is involved, it's a learning experience, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because you get to meet new people, you get to, just see a different way of life that you wouldn't have otherwise.
And it helps to be polite, which luckily you are.
You try to be.
Well, you are. I mean, I know that. Everybody, even when you were growing up, well, he's so polite. And like, thank God.
Yes.
Good thing.
It's my kids. They change when they're with us.
Right. Yeah. And that's how I think that's probably how it should be.
Well, yeah. They've got some safety and security with their home life.
So when you were in Turkey, did you get to go see any of the sites in Turkey, or were you pretty well?
So when I went, Turkey was closed. It used to be a family location, like family housing still there. the old high school that they don't use anymore still there.
Just empty.
Kind of, yeah.
Well, you were in a house, right? For like a family?
Yeah, I was in a 2-bedroom house by myself. But actually, so Stephanie was there when she was like 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Back when her father was stationed there, but I wasn't doing my normal job there either.
Oh, what were you doing?
So I was a contracting officer representative. So essentially,
now, is this some of the stuff you learned while you were in Korea? Because in Korea you had an illness that took you out of the rotation, I guess, sort of, kind of.
Yeah. So
I know you were doing other stuff
there. I was doing like project planning, things like that. In Korea, it was more major contracting companies like KBR, Vectrus, like huge contracting companies that exist in the U.S. Basically hire the Turkish that are on site, that live there, to perform the CE, the civil engineering function that we do on a normal basis. Gotcha. So there's my career field, I was the only one there, you know?
Oh, okay.
So there wasn't a whole group of dirt boys at in a shop.
Right.
It was a bunch of Turkish guys and then one American national.
So you weren't, so it was a different job for you.
Yeah.
It was more of a advisory role.
Well, yeah, you have a contract and basically you're like quality assurance. You're making sure they stick to the contract and do what they're supposed to do. Gotcha. Because the government is paying an astronomical hundreds of millions of dollars.
way more than they should.
Well, yeah.
And because you got to keep Turkey friendly, or at least that's kind of the idea anyway.
It's the largest base maintenance contract in Europe.
Wow. In Turkey.
So Turkey and Spain, it's joint.
Oh, okay.
Turkey.
So basically either end of the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
We're boxing it in.
Because my career field isn't at, like, we have the one site in Turkey that we work at. Yeah. Which is what I was doing. And then Spain, we don't have any sites that we work at.
Oh, really?
So like the contractors that work in Turkey and Spain, they're all managed through Turkey, through that one position.
Oh, okay. And but that was another good learning experience.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's ever, I don't think anyone's ever prepared to, like, you know, get on the ground for a job that you've never really done before and be like, hey, this $1 billion contract is this part of it's yours. Wow. So, you know, manage it.
And so you had to learn that, right? I mean, yeah. Real quick.
The computer-based training doesn't really do it justice.
Yeah. And then you're dealing with civilians as well.
Yeah.
So you've got to play that role as well, right? No,
yeah, while still being military.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can't, I mean, the Turkish are not renowned for their meekness. They're not going to, you can't, in other words, you can't be a rude American.
Yeah, it's not going to, because, I mean, they'll play the contract with you or against you, basically. Yeah. Doing like the bare minimum of what they're obligated to.
And there was some stuff going on. Oh, that was the period when Biden decided to criticize the Turkish because they wiped out some Armenians back 120 years ago.
Well, I mean, depending on who you ask, those Armenians deserved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so things got pretty tense there because it's not our base. It's a Turkish base.
We're
guests there.
Yeah.
We use their airfield and we share.
And our nuclear weapons sleep there. Well, everybody knows Turkey's like the place, but I don't think
because it's strategically positioned.
Yeah, it's in a good location for war.
Everything. Yeah.
Well, look how important it is right now. I mean, they've got the Black Sea pretty well closed off. Yeah. I mean, they're not letting much through, and they can do it. I mean, that's a very narrow point, and they're not letting ships through. And I don't know how that's all going to play out because Turkey is still part of NATO. Although you see people all the time going, Turkey shouldn't be in NATO anymore. Well, yeah, okay.
I mean, so. It was kind of interesting.
I mean, you didn't have any problems. I mean, you didn't get treated badly because you were an American over there, right? Or
no, just the typical like protests that happened on the main gate.
Yeah, which
is always kind of tense because it's Turkish guards working the gate.
Yeah, I got you.
So you never really know what's going to happen. I mean,
sure, yeah, because things happen.
You have to trust the Turkish that
when it was in Afghanistan or when Afghanistan was having its issues, you had to trust the Afghani police. Yeah, yeah. Wouldn't want to be the last American in Afghanistan. Nobody did. Nobody ever does. Right?
Turkey was kind of interesting though, because when I was in Korea was when the the coup happened in Turkey.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
So like I already had this prior information from like of Turkey and this already like formed opinion, which was completely false. Like, you know,
media doesn't help.
No, of course not.
You mean the media is not truthful all the time? Come on.
But it's just an interesting dynamic because it's the Turkish base and because they had their own CE on base. The Turks did.
Yeah.
Which I actually got to work with at one point. You know, it's just a learning experience. That's really it. You got to learn how to deal with people.
But so you were in Turkey. You were in Turkey for a year, right?
Yeah, 12 months.
Yeah. God, man, that year went by quick.
For you.
Well, yeah, we were dealing with other things. We had our own issues.
Yeah.
Because of course, all of your furniture was on its way to Louisiana.
It made it.
It made it, and then it was stored safely and securely.
Yeah, in a what's the word that they use? A climate controlled environment.
As long as your climate was tropical.
Yeah, mold.
Yeah, that was a mess. Basically, you lost what? Everything?
Yeah,
pretty much.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, pictures, clothes, bedding, toys.
Yep.
I can't think of anything that really wasn't damaged. It's
like there were some things that we packed ourselves in Germany that were safe. Like Papa's box was in there, his jewelry box.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And that was packed up and sealed.
Yeah.
And so that stuff made it, but
we did that ourselves.
Yeah. That was sad. That was sad. That broke your mom's heart, broke Stephanie's heart, and you were stuck again.
Well, I was also when that was all happening, I was also in Alaska for the 2 months.
Yeah. And so she was getting that stuff, and here you are again, gone. Yeah. So again, hats off to spouses of servicemen, you know.
I would say probably in the 12 years I've been gone for probably about 900 days.
Yeah. So that's tough, especially with new babies.
Yeah.
And although the babies turned out okay.
Really, I haven't had that many deployments. I mean, I've only had 2.
Right. But it just seems like
it's the short tours because those are, that's 24 months of.
Well, I think that's the problem is anytime you get sent in your head, if you're me, your dad, I think deployment, he's been deployed. But no, the tour and a deployment are two different things.
Yeah. Turkey and Korea were short tours. Qatar and Iraq were deployments.
Right. Okay. And Iraq, we don't really even need to talk about that. Although I hear the Kurds are great people.
They were very nice to us.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you weren't.
The Turks don't like them.
No. And as long as you don't call them Iraqis because they're Kurdistanis, but.
Yeah, they're picky about that, are they?
Well,
Yeah, well, look, it's even now Israel's trying to hang on to their relationship with Russia because they like to occasionally bomb Syria. So they don't want to accidentally bomb Russians. So,
who doesn't?
Every now and then you got to bomb a Syrian.
But honestly, even Iraq was really cool because it's a major NATO site.
Yeah.
So like pretty much every NATO country was there.
It's 1 billion people.
Yeah. I mean, the Brits were there. The Germans were there. The Belgian engineers were like right across the camp from us.
Yeah.
The LSA is what they call it.
Everybody gets along pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. So overall though, you consider your experience in the Air Force positive?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's given me, I like growing up here, I think it was good, but getting out is important. I want to say like experiencing the world is important.
You would recommend that to anybody who grows up in like a small town like Longville. Yeah. Get out and see stuff.
Definitely.
Know stuff, learn stuff.
Like if it's a place that you can drive in a day, then it's not, culturally diverse.
Yeah.
Like I can make it to San Antonio and sure it's a different environment, but actually get out and see the world.
Yeah. Go because that is the one thing it was really great to go to Europe finally after all these years reading and history and everything else. That was a huge, huge event. And Ireland would have been a huge event as well, but thanks COVID.
Yeah.
And
but I mean,
still upset about that.
Like living in Germany. I mean, I got to go to Poland. I got to go to Ireland. I got to go to Scotland, England. We saw Hyde Park in England.
You went to Switzerland with the kids. And that's the other thing. Your kids got to see some stuff too, even though they were little.
That they don't even remember.
Yeah, I know. Well, they do and they don't,
They won't. Like I was talking to kids driving back today from River Bluff Park that, It's like, you remember when I took you guys in Germany to my work and you got to drive the forklift? And Grayson's like, no, I don't remember that.
I got pictures.
I was like, I have a video. You definitely did.
I know he did. No, sorry. I think you're making that up, Father. You're making that up.
Collusion.
That's right. That's not how it happened. But yeah, it's as a dad looking, I'm pretty proud of everything you've accomplished. I think that I think you made the right choice. I think you did that was a sudden choice. I remember when you made the choice and just said it. You came in, but you had a fairly traumatic experience that happened locally.
I did, yeah. Four friends, and it changed your viewpoint immediately. I mean, that was a huge thing, and it those kind of events can really change you. And it's just like any event that is traumatic. Like, how you react to it is what says it about you. Like, my decision was, I can't stay here anymore and just live.
And just be.
Yeah, just exist. And I wanted more than that. Yeah,
because you saw what they lost by not existing. Yeah, and that we're talking a car wreck that happened.
It was 2009, November, for, I'm sure some people remember.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It was Richard Penley and Danny,
Jeff,
and I don't remember the girl's name, unfortunately.
I do.
I can't remember her name.
Heidi.
Yeah. And it was a horrible tragedy. It was awful. But you literally it was not just a couple days.
I was talking to the recruiter basically the week after. After the funerals. What really did it, I think, was going to Richard's funeral.
Yeah.
And seeing his mother.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, it was horrible, and that was a tragic time. But that's the thing. I guess it kind of makes you realize that at any moment it can just be done.
Yeah,
and you try to tell people that when you get old like me, you tell young people that, and they just don't believe you.
There's a lot more than just Longville, Ragley, Lake Charles.
Right, and I agree with you. I think people need to get out and see the world, and I really think that one of the biggest problems with this country is so few people have been anywhere else.
And I mean, it is a small world. It really is.
Yeah.
Just a matter of perspective. Like, when we were living in Andrews, we lived in base housing. Our neighbor went to DeRitter High School.
Well, that happened to me. When we lived in Corpus Christi, our neighbor was in the Navy. He was a Navy flyer. He was training in Corpus Christi. And turned out he was from Blue Springs, Missouri. And I was like, what the?
Yeah, the other tech sergeant that came to Germany, Stephen Jones, was from Blue Springs.
Yeah, it's weird, but yeah, get out and see the world for sure. Well, so you plan on staying 20 years?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna stay.
Definitely.
One I've put in a 20-year retirement's, quality.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Cause at 20 years, I'll be 40. That's 8 more years.
Oh yeah.
And that's nothing.
And, any consideration about after, or just,
that's why, the Air Force is paying for it, and it doesn't help me in my career field now, but the masters in cybersecurity, like, it's for me. It's for after the Air Force.
Right.
Because at some point I'm going to take that uniform off for the last time, and that's going to be it.
Yeah. And you don't want to do heavy equipment anymore at that point, or, you would if you had to, but
yeah. Because the crane license.
But you've always been interested in cybersecurity and that kind of stuff. That's been an interest for a long time.
Yeah. At some point, 20 years is 20 years, but at some point it's going to be over.
Yeah.
And I need to, plan. And
that's the right way to look at it. It's something you're doing that I certainly didn't do when I was younger, is think that far down the road. It just didn't happen. I got it together eventually, but it took a little while. You're doing better. So that's good. All right. Well, anyway, I guess we ought to, what's the old thing? Well, I guess I'm going to get out your hair.
Yes, about time to hit the old dusty trail.
It's been fun. I liked having you here, visiting with the little people.
Well, the last, 2 or 3 visits, you said we were going to do this and we never did. So
I know we always got sidetracked. I tried to get Scarlett to do it, but she wouldn't do it either. And just a little old podcast from the heel of the boot.
Maybe we didn't do it. Maybe it didn't record. You know?
Oh, this time it did. This time it did. By golly. And in fact, there is no way that I will ever mess up again.
Lies. Oh, lies!
I have a Rickroll in there too for your mom, but she's mad. So, you know, what are you going to do? But anywho, anything else? You got anything else to add?
Yeah, I mean, if
you were talking to younger people, would you encourage them possibly to think about military?
I would, but if you're going in to talk to your recruiter and you have a specific career in mind, don't take open anything, because they're going to put you somewhere you probably don't want to go. Go in with a guaranteed job.
Right.
Don't let the recruiter muscle you into a career field you don't want to do. Because
are you saying that recruiters would do that?
Needs of the Air Force.
Do recruiters get bonuses based on where they place people?
Not always.
I wonder.
And it's not like a monetary bonus. It's they have numbers they have to hit. And
I got you.
I've never been a recruiter, so I'm sure there's more intricacies that I don't know.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they are low in a certain career field throughout the Air Force, maybe the recruiter gets 2 slots filled instead of 1 by putting someone somewhere.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Long in the Boot podcast. And I don't know when you're going to be hearing it, because I'm going to put it in a can in maybe 2 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. But I'll put a little thingy at the beginning that lets you know when it was recorded.
Let that one marinate.
Yeah, let it marinate. You never know what it'll taste like afterwards. But I appreciate it, Coda. Thanks for coming to the Long in the Boot Studios.
That's why you had me, I guess.
That's right. We had you just so one day you could be a guest on my podcast. That's absolutely right. All right, y'all. As Deb would say, your joy is portable. Take it with you. She'll be glad I said that, and absolutely mean it. And get out and do something. Go do something.
Just get better.
Yeah, just always try to be the best person you can be day by day, and generally things will work out the way they should. Generally. All right, y'all. Take it easy. We'll see you in a couple weeks.